Hamas says it has agreed to a mediated ceasefire proposal, but initial indications out of Israel suggest the framework Hamas has agreed to may not be acceptable to its government. Word of the potential temporary truce have led to scenes of celebration on the streets of Rafah, where more than 1 million people are now sheltering. Just hours ago, Israel had urged 100,000 people in the eastern part of the city to evacuate because of an impending military ground operation. Let's turn to journalist Iris Mackler. She has more on this breaking story. She joins me live from Jerusalem. So, Iris, details and reaction are still coming in, but can you walk us through what Hamas and Israel are saying?
Well, we don't have many details. It's an in-principle statement from Hamas that came as a shock to Israel. They learned about it from the media, like everyone else. And they have now, Israeli officials say, they have seen a version of this and they're examining it. By the way, so is Washington, which was a contributor to getting this deal through. So Israeli officials were briefing Israeli media and they said, this isn't exactly the deal we proposed more than a week ago. But on the other hand, Israel's prime minister didn't send a team of Israeli negotiators to Cairo. So perhaps this is the smoothed out version suggested by Egyptian officials, Qatari officials, and also, huge influence of the CIA chief Bill Good, who was there through most of this negotiation in Cairo over the past few days. So it's definitely a breakthrough, Andrew. But, is it the breakthrough that's going to lead to a deal for the release of hostages, a deal for the exchange of Palestinian prisoners, and most significantly of all, a deal for a sizable ceasefire, a longer ceasefire? And we still don't know the answer to that. The devil will be in the detail. But, tomorrow is the 7th of May. That's 7 months since Hamas's attack on Israel of the 7th of October. The timing is extraordinary if it is the breakthrough that delivers it.
So as I mentioned, Hamas released word of its acceptance just a few hours after Israel urged 100,000 people to evacuate from Rafah ahead of a possible ground assault. What's the reaction on the ground in Gaza and Israel, and will this mean the end of that operation?
Everybody is asking the end of that question, will this be the end? And what we've seen from people in Rafah particularly, but not just in Rafah, is wild celebrations because, of course, the imminent ground operation was very real for them. So there were already pictures being released earlier today of Palestinians leaving Rafah in cars if they had cars, on horses and carts if they could get their hands on them. So it would be huge for them. The impact for them would be huge. The impact for the families of the hostages is huge too. So we've seen protests tonight, huge excitement, huge fear that their government won't deliver the deal. It's a very split society in this sense, with the right-wing government, parts of this right-wing government saying, ignore this and just go on for a Rafah deal. So protests in Israel, celebrations in Gaza, and the question is, where will this go? Even if there is a temporary ceasefire, does Israel then say, okay, this war is over, or does it reserve the right to go into Rafah sometime further down the line? That's something that Hamas definitely does not want. So all those questions still up in the air, but you have to say it's a breakthrough.
Iris, thank you. That is journalist Iris Mackler live in Jerusalem.